So welcome to Second Saturday Satsang, and together we Zoom. So today's lesson is entitled "Let It Be." Let it be. I love that John Lennon song. I loved it back in the day, and I love it still. But it has such an amazing message, because to argue with what is right now in this moment is, of course, the most futile thing that we can do, that you can think of to do. Yet we do spend so much of our energy doing just that. We talk about what we wish was here, or what we want the government not to do, what it's doing wrong, what our neighbors are doing wrong, or what our spouse or our family or our friends are doing wrong. And we give those things that we don't actually want, we give them our precious energy. And this is, of course, a complete waste of our precious energy, arguing with what is right now in this moment. It is entirely futile, isn't it? And it's wearying. It's very wearying. So let's think of this in terms of spiritual principle. We know that energy flows where it is invited, where it is allowed, right? And we also know that creation manifests from the flow of energy, right? So now when I say that energy flows where it's invited, I'm really saying it flows in the direction of our attention. We are creators, and our attention is the way we create. In fact, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras says that the real purpose of meditation is to learn focus. It's not to empty your mind and all this. It's to learn and discipline your mind to focus. And attention is like the rudder that steers our ship, right? Think of this ship as a very, very large ship, a big ocean liner, the biggest one you can think of. It does not turn easily or quickly, but only with sustained direction. And the rudder is relatively small. Our attention is relatively what we think of as a small aspect of spiritual principle, but it's really everything. The huge ship is directed by the little rudder, by your attention. It moves toward a chosen direction or a direction that you don't choose. And it depends on how your rudder is aimed, what your attention is doing. Attention is the rudder of your ship, and the rudder of our collective ship as well. So collective consciousness is of all these rudders, and they are the collective effect of our thoughts, and our attention is what we as a community and as a group and as a people and as humanity are striving toward in our evolution and in our spiritual evolution. So have you noticed that we give much more energy to our fears than we do to our dreams? Have you noticed that? Many years ago in the 1980s, I went to a sales seminar, and the sales leader of that seminar said something that shocked me, and I've never forgotten it. He said, and this was on the context of trying to get people to buy things, of course. He said, people are 1,000 times more motivated by fear of loss than they are by hope of gain. Think about that. They're 1,000 times more motivated by fear of loss than they are hope of gain. And since that time, I have noticed over and over and over again that what he said is true. And there are people in the world who know this and use this to manipulate us, because they know that fear is more primal for us. We go into our amphibian brain, our reptile brain, when we're afraid, and we will do so much. Plus, it's so, if you think of a person who has never had anything, and the day after that they never have anything, it's much less scary for them than it is for somebody who suddenly has nothing, who had everything before but suddenly has nothing. There is a real fear of loss that comes into our rudder and that directs our attention sometimes. So if you've noticed that, or if you haven't noticed it, begin seeing it and then ask yourself, if you are motivated more by fear than aspiration, because that motivation, that attention is what we direct ourselves toward. And chances are you are, if you're like most of us, you are more motivated by fear than aspiration. So what's the answer? Well, the answer, as I mentioned before, is spiritual discipline. It's spiritual discipline. It's imagining something and then bringing your rudder back into what you want. Learning to discipline our attention is what I meant to say, our rudder. So a large ship will not turn in the direction of your dreams unless its rudder is consistently pointed toward what makes you happy. So that's practical information, isn't it? Learning to point your ship in the direction of your future dreams is the purely practical reason to direct your energy flow. But there's something else here with the direction of your attention. There's also peace. There's also presence. There's also now. There is pointing toward what you want, but then there is now. And that is the other reason to learn to let it be. All the moments in the future and even the ones in the past are made up of a continuous flow of now. There is peace to be found in one place only, and that is now. There's only now. So in addition to wanting to steer your ship in the direction of your personal dreams, be they of wealth and fortune, or be they of world peace and universal love, whatever your dreams, in addition to needing to steer your ship toward that direction, there is the raw experience of now to be had. And now, of course, is the entirety of our lives. There is peace and joy and beauty to be had now in this moment. Now, I've heard a lot of people say that they are afraid that if they relax into the now, that means they're giving up on their dreams. It does not mean that. It does not mean that at all. It does mean that you are not blocking the flow of creation with the wavering and wasting of your attention, your rudder. It does mean that you are allowing what is to be what is. And you are starting from where you are instead of starting from imaginary places of fear and dreams. So let's say you're a big ship and you're headed out of New York and you're headed to England, but instead you're wishing you were in the Mediterranean. And you have to know where you're coming from to know where you're going, right? So being in the now is really, again, so practical. It's so practical. So making peace with now, with what is actually the only way to get your true bearings. All right. So you're always starting from now, whether you think you are or not, whether your attention is somewhere else or not, you are always starting from what is right now. So why wouldn't we pay attention to that and make peace with what we are now in this moment so that energy can flow? When we're not at peace, energy is blocked. The smooth flow of creative energy is blocked. So why not make peace with where we are now? That's what we're going to do today in meditation. So I have been remembering and hearing in my head John Lennon's song, Let It Be. I've been hearing it in the playlist of my mind all week long. And as I listen to these words and I feel the sacredness of the admonitions that he's making here, it just reinforces my understanding and my willingness to direct my attention and my love and my compassion and my acceptance to where I am right now. So I want to just go over some of the words of that. I have it here. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me. Now I'll pause to say Mother Mary is the feminine principle being invoked here. The feminine principle is a principle of acceptance and a principle of surrender and peace. And it's not a striving young principle. It is the yin principle that's at work in this moment. So when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary speaks to me, comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. Let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she's standing right in front of me, speaking the words of wisdom. Let it be. Many of us in these times have met hours of darkness over and over. There is so much going on, whether it's in the news or in our personal lives. There's so much going on. In our hour of darkness is exactly when we need to tune into the yin energy, to Mother Mary, and listen and let it be what it is. Because if we're not letting it be what it is, we are in fact blocking energy. So he goes on to say, and when brokenhearted people in the world agree, there will be an answer. Let it be. For though they may be parted, and we are parted right now, aren't we? There are a lot of us that are just not being able to see eye to eye. For though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see, and there will be an answer. Let it be. Let it be. So, whisper words of wisdom. Let it be. So if you are weary now, or if you have been weary in these times, and I've talked to so many people who are, that I just can't but believe that it is part of the changing paradigm that we came to this earth in order to help implement. So we made that decision. Sometimes we probably wonder why we made that decision, because it's sometimes really difficult. But there are so many of us going through this that I know that it's not just a personal thing here. But that weariness is an indication that we need to rest in what is. Let it be. There is a time for striving. But when you're weary, it's a time to just let it be and get your true bearings. Pay attention to what is instead of what we wish it was or what we can't believe it is and don't want. Get your true bearings and be where you are, seeing it clearly, making peace with what is. So I'd like to ask you to think of a situation in your life that you are not able to control. Maybe it's personal, maybe it's global. You know, I get really upset about all the refugees, and I feel so, my heart just breaks for them. Whether it's personal or global or whatever, maybe you can find a way to represent that situation in your mind, maybe a picture or a symbol or even a song. You decide. There is something in your life that's beyond your personal control or immediate control. How would you like to represent it as we contemplate this together? Because we're going to go into meditation, and I want you to have that in your mind as you make peace with what is in that situation. So, and I want to say that for me, for instance, getting my heart broken by the refugees, there is a part of me that knows it's part of God's plan to mix us all up. It's like I keep thinking of it as like a big batter that we're putting chocolate chips in, and or raisins or whatever, and we're mixing it all in so that all of the people of the world are no longer siloed. We're all getting spread out and mixed in with each other. And I can't help but believe that's God's plan. So when I look at the refugees, my heart breaks for them, and I thank them, and I pray for them, and I thank them for the part they're playing in this, because it's an important part. It's not something that they would have chosen consciously, but I think they chose it before they came. So we are grateful for them. So let's close our eyes together and relax our bodies. And just get rid of any distraction on your screen or in your environment. And choose to put your attention, your rudder, on now. Sink into this moment. Only now. Only now. Be in your body where you are, in the sensation of now. This is what is. This is what is. Make peace with what is. Let's take a few deep breaths. Your body being supported for deep relaxation. Breathing in and breathing out. Deep yogic breaths. Relaxing your body. Releasing and letting go. Go into your knowing self. Part of you that knows eternal things. Eternal things are always now. What is, is. We let it be. We let it be what it is. And if I feel weary today, I surrender. I rest in what is. Today, I am only here, only now. And as always, love is all around me. It flows through me, and I float in the current of love. I feel the compassion that is in this current, the compassion for my weariness, There is support here. There is a knowing that transcends understanding. It simply is. And this knowing simply magnifies with my attention that I give it. Magnifies. And so I know that I am potent. I am impending creation. I am eminent now. I am here. I am here. I am here now. I am present with what is here. Oh, let it be. Let it be what it is. I am one with the one, with the all, boundaryless, and loved. Separation is only a dream I'm having. God is all, everywhere, and in everything. And I am not separate from that. So I rest in God. And the light of God surrounds me as always. The love of God enfolds me as always. The presence of God watches over me. The power of God protects me. I am one. I am one with the all, and I am here now. One with the all. I am one with the earth. I am one with the seas. I am one with the stars. I am one with you. It is what it is. So let it be. Let it be. Let it be what it is. I rest. I rest in God. I am whole. I am here. I am now. I am present in this body. And I am knowing that this body is merely part of God's dream. So I let it be. I let it be. I am. I am that I am, and so it is. I rest. I am potent. I am impending creation. I am imminent. I am here. I am here. I am here. I am here now. I let it be. I let it be what it is. I am present. And so it is. And so it is. Amen. So bringing your attention back to the room where your body is resting. Your attention is still on your body. Attention is nothing but a decision. Attention is a decision. And your body feels rested. Your mind feels calm. It is what it is. When you're ready, open your eyes, take a deep cleansing breath, and make another decision to be here now, as the wonderful Ram Dass says, be here now. Thank you for sharing that with me. Thank you for being here with me now, right? I'm very grateful to have you here with me now. I'm going to open this for discussion. I'll ask you to unmute yourselves and maybe share your experience of the meditation or of the lessons. What did you feel? What did you experience? Or what new thoughts did you have?
Very full right now.
Mm.
Full in a good sense.
Yes.
The boundless spaciousness of the I am presence is very keenly with me right now. I love following your lesson and allowing your voice, the calmness and the sureness that comes through your words to fill me. So I fully received what you were sharing. And it came to me that if you were on this Zoom and there was nobody else in the boxes that you could see, that you should carry on, because we are never alone. And you would speak your energy into that boundless space. The rudder was a beautiful metaphor. And I kept thinking about how I will focus my attention and steer my ship, and how easily it may be for me to lose my focus. There's something that pulls me away. It might be some attractive, shiny whatever over there. It might be an inner heavy judgment or fear that I've been carrying for so many years. I get carried away by different things at different times, but I lose my focus. And so what happens is that my ship wants to move. I'm created to create. So it's waiting for me to energize the emotion. And so I'll do it, and then I'll stop, and then it'll drift back a little bit, you know. And so one of the many things that I got from the meditation is just let that be. I have an eternity to move that ship. There's an eternity, and I trust the presence. I trust the process. So, I'm just learning to just kind of laugh at myself and recognize you lost your focus again. And it's okay. It's okay. And so that's what I want to say right now. And I do have some other things that I want to ask you about later, but I'll stop and let Jim do his sharing.
Well, thank you. And before he shares, I want to say that your words were so important to me. What you said, it's tempting to get discouraged sometimes. And what you said was just exactly what I know to be true about speaking the words and into the all.
That's right.
And I know that to be true. And it's really nice to hear a reminder of what I know. And that is, you have no idea how powerful that was. And I also want to say that if anybody listens to this later, and they typically do, because it's on the website, I think they'll get as much out of your little lesson there as they did the rest. That was just beautiful. Thank you. Just touched me deeply. Thank you, Auntie.
Thank you.
Bernadette.
I echo what Indira said, very, very powerful words and very, very powerful presence, Baji. Thank you. Thank both of you.
Thank you.
This is it's a very strange time, and an awful lot of things going on. I'm basically at a point where I can't see tomorrow. I don't know what's going to bring. And that really bothers me, or has been bothering me in the past. And this lesson, as well as some of the other work I've been doing, was very pertinent and to the point. And it's helped me to let go and let it be. So I thank both of you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for that. This time kind of over and over reminds me of that old Zen story, and we shared it here a couple of lessons back, I think, about the Zen master who lived next door. And well, no, I'm getting my lessons mixed up, about the farmer who had lost his horse because the horse ran away. And everybody came back and said, "Oh, that's bad." And he said, "We'll see," And then he brought a whole herd of horses back. And every time I hear that, I try to hear it with beginner's mind, because it has a different application every time I hear it. So the horses came back, and everybody say, with, they brought a whole herd of wild horses with him. Like, oh, you're so lucky. Isn't this wonderful? You have all this that you never had before. We'll see. And then his son broke his leg. Oh, what bad luck.
Mhm.
He was trying to break the horses and he broke his leg instead. What bad luck. But then the next day, the soldiers came to conscript the young men for war and he couldn't go. Oh, that's fortunate. And so it's back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I sometimes think of God's will. And when I say the prayer, thy will be done, I imagine a kaleidoscope where, you're shifting things and all these little things are shifting and they're shifting into a new pattern. And individual pieces may not know their part, but they're coming into this beautiful pattern that is God's will. That's kind of how I think of it. So that story just resonates there because it's not only chronologically that we don't know whether it's good luck or bad luck, but it's also sometimes our entire lives. I think again of the poor Syrian people, and it's more than Syrians now, it's everybody. It seems like in the Middle East, they're all moving around and having to be moved, but that's such an ancient civilization. I mean, it's been here for millennia. Some of those people have been in the same place for millennia. And their culture is so entrenched with them. And here they are having to move, having to leave, having to go places they don't know. And I think we've talked about this with the Afghanis, the lucky ones got on the plane and they were the lucky ones. And they were the ones who didn't know. And from that moment on, they had no control of their lives. Somebody tells them where to go, what to eat, when to sleep, where to sleep, when they can go, when they can come. And those were the lucky ones.
That's right.
And so we just are in that mix right now. We're in that kaleidoscope changing, and we don't know what our individual parts are. But I feel absolutely sure that one of those Afghanis that are moving to, let's say, Europe as a result of this is going to affect the life of somebody in Europe in a way that needed to be done, and vice versa. It's just what's happening. And we are like rocks in a tumbler, smoothing each other out and having to learn what is real in ourselves and in each other versus what we have learned is right and wrong, good and bad, my culture, your culture. We're having to learn what is real, and we're bumping up against people we don't understand. And in the United States, we've created that for ourselves. With the division that we have created as a country. We've created that ourselves so that we now have to confront people we don't understand. Even people in our own families, like, how could you think what you're thinking? How could you do what you did? How could you believe what you believe? But they do. So we have created for ourselves that bumping up against so that we can learn who we really are in the perfection of what is right now. It's not an easy time, but I believe that everyone who is here has, with courage, chosen to come and participate in this time. And our ability to look into the void, into the collective, and as Baji so richly described, speaking into that space, our truth. The more we focus on love, the more we focus our attention and aim our rudder at oneness and love, the more of us do that. It's like we're on a collective ship and all the rudders are going in different direction. We have to get most of them going in one direction, and that's when we're going to start to move this big unwieldy ship that is collective consciousness. So yeah, it's a beautiful time, but it doesn't always feel that way.
No. Indira, I want to ask you about that idea that I've heard so many times, and I do believe it, but I don't have anything to reference it. The idea that we chose to be here at this time, I do believe that I chose to be here. And I believe that there are many people who did not choose to be here, but somehow found themselves here. And I think that that's why a lot are exiting, because I also believe that they are choosing not to remain. It's like, I didn't sign up for all of this. Get me out of here. And but I need to study that concept. Can you?
Yeah, I would love to talk about that. I think one of the things I will say just at the outset is that there's no book that says this. Well, there may be, but there's no, Bible that says this, put it that way. But there is the experience of a lot of people who have come back that say this. And also, I think that just like reincarnation is a concept that is real, in my belief system, it is real. We can't actually know how that works and whether it's linear, like you were this person, now you're that person. It might be that our souls are all mixed in together and there is a purpose of God. And even the people, if it's one way, if it's me saying as an individual, yes, I choose to do that, that's one thing. And if it is God's intention, which is energy, which is flow, which is impetus, if you will, then we all are part of God. So in one sense or the other, we chose this. Now, I think if I individually said, I want to be part of this, I think a lot of it looks really easy from the other side. Why couldn't I have, it's like on your deathbed when you say, why couldn't I have done this differently? And it looks so easy from there. But when you're looking back and you say, oh, I could have done that differently, let me go back and try. And then you forget all that and you come in with the same temptations and the same influences and all that stuff. And then you go, what the heck? And plus, if you didn't get any support from your parents or your upbringing, and you didn't learn to be a person who sailed their own ship, all those things are things we have an opportunity to learn, but we always have, and this we know, we always have free will. So I remember when one of the first times I was thinking about things in these terms was when I was very ill, and an astrologer at that time, who I didn't know and didn't know me, said to me, and she didn't even know I was ill, but she said to me, looking at your stars, I can see that you're about to have a decision to make whether or not you want to leave the planet. And I went, and I was really not all that sure about astrology back in those days. I was just doing it kind of for a lark, or because I needed guidance too. But when she said that, she followed it up by saying, either choice is okay. You can decide to stay or you can decide to leave. It's up to you. It's like you said, Baji, we have all the time in the world. Mm-hmm. We have all the time in the world, or out of the world. We have forever to get this accomplished. And so if we look at it and say, yeah, I can do that. I want to do that. Maybe I want to work on this that I didn't work on before, or maybe I want to participate in the enlightenment of the world. Whatever it was that I came in feeling, whether it was personal or global, that I wanted to do. Once I get here, I have free will, and I can say, I'll come back and try this later. And many of us do, because we are not equipped and we are not supported. I think that's one of the main reasons in my mind. It's so important to try to support people who are down. That's why my politics runs that way, because if we give people an opportunity, we are all connected. And if we give people opportunities, they may not take it, and that's their choice. But if we give them an opportunity that they may take, who does that serve? Everyone. So that's why my politics runs in that direction. But that's how I think about it. I don't know the specifics. It's not mechanical, like a person does this and then this happens and that happens. What I know is God's purpose is for us to evolve into divine beings who have the ability to be in the physical world without being driven by our egos. Not that the ego is unimportant, we have to have it, but we can choose not to be driven by it, and we can choose to connect to the divine as a guide for our movements through the day and through our lives. And that opportunity is what God is giving us over and over and over. In the other realms of existence, there's very little resistance, so that we can think something and it happens. How wonderful, because then we could be happy all the time, because we just, as soon as we were sad, we go, oh no, I'm going to think about it, and it would happen instantly. Here we have to learn physical discipline, and we have to learn spiritual discipline. We have to learn to keep that rudder pointed in that direction, right? And that's how we become divine beings. That's how we develop Christ consciousness and become that which Jesus said we all can do and already can do, if we just had the discipline and focus. So whether or not we as individuals say, this is where I want to be, or whether it's just the entire miasma of God's energy that we are manifesting in that moment. Two things I know: we did choose to be here, and we have free will once we get here. So it's not a foregone conclusion that in this lifetime we're going to be able to manifest what we want to manifest. Does that make sense at all?
Yes. Yes, you said so much. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, I think some people are really tempted to want a Bible, because that's how we were raised, was
I
it? The
know.
Bible says this, and that's what you do. And
Yeah.
it's actually the Bible itself. We have made it into something specific. It was actually very spiritual guidance. It was not, an ABC book, 1, 2, 3, do this and then you'll be okay. It's really not like that. It's the principles in the Bible that were trying to be communicated when the Bible was written. But instead we've turned it into, like the Buddhists say, the finger pointing to the moon is not the moon. But we have made religion, and religion has become our God. The finger pointing to the moon is the religion, says how you get to God.
That's right.
But we've made the religion the God. So that upbringing creates in us a desire to have a cookbook that says, here's how you do it. And this is what's right and this is what's wrong. We have to figure that out as we go, unfortunately. That's one of the reasons why.
And you mentioned the feminine principle. I think Jim said something about that earlier.
Yes.
And we all have that, because it's not gender, related. And it's a way of being and knowing. And we all have that intuition. So the GPS, if you will, has been implanted in us at birth. We know the direction to go. We know that which will lead us to where our expanded soul is intending us to be.
Right.
Because it feels, that's what you started talking about in the beginning. It feels like peace.
Mm.
We know what leads us there, and we know what leads us away from that. I know.
I love that GPS thing. I was thinking of that. I was coming back from Athens and I was using a GPS, and I missed my turn, and my GPS rerouted, and I instantly thought of spiritual principle. It's like we have free will. And if I decide to go past this, it's going to say, well, I'm still going to get you there if you choose. You can still choose to miss this turn too, but I'm going to give you the opportunity every time, over and over and over, until you tell me to stop. I'm going to give you the opportunity to get back to Atlanta. So
That's a
When you-
comforting wisdom for me. That's comforting.
yes, I like that you said that it was a GPS has been implanted, because that is exactly what came to me too as I was traveling, and I watched my GPS reroute itself. I'm like, okay, you want to go past, we'll go around this way then. Deb, you started to say something.
Yeah, the GPS thing, that just reminds me that there are many paths.
Yes.
And, the cookbook you talked about, the people that tend to make their own religion. One of my favorite sayings is, God created man and man created religion. Spirituality is totally different from religion, and there are many, many paths. And the GPS will, as you said, reroute us when necessary, and we'll get there.
It's important for me anyway. I don't know about you, but for me, it's really important that I frequently pull back and take the long view.
Yeah.
It's really important. And what Baji said is about us having time. That's what I remind myself so many times because it's really, I think, as I said in the meditation this month, the news is unrelenting.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's unrelentingly disheartening. And
Yes.
so if we don't take the long view, if we get stuck in the weeds, wow, it's no wonder we're weary. So I have to consciously tell myself to pull back and look at the long view, look at what God's trying to make here. It's going to be so amazing. And it's been generation after generation that it's been in the works, and it will continue generations from here. But we're in a really important time right now. I don't think there's ever been another time. Well, there haven't been very many times, put it that way, in history where things are changing as rapidly as they are now. And that gives us an opportunity to bump up against each other and learn something new if we allow ourselves to learn something new.
Sanghas like this are important in my life. I cannot imagine trying to, navigate my way through without having gatherings like this and being among people of light mind.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, this is a time not for me to tamp down my light and my knowing. It's the time to really illuminate. That's what is being called for. We hear the negative voices because they're the loudest.
They are.
So I'm being called to illuminate more. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I support you in that. I surround you with support in that, because that is, you're right, that's what is called for. There's no better way to say it than that is what's called for.
I'm so grateful for this gathering.
Oh,
So grateful.
I'm so glad you're here.
And the midweek meditation that you offered, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
I need that.
Thank you. I'm so glad. That makes my heart sing. That's the purpose.
And that's what the heart is intended to do.
Yeah.
The heartstring wants to play the music and sing.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I will say that it is about time to end. I always try to be very, very respectful of everybody's time and right on time. So if there's anything anybody wants to say before we leave, this is the time to do it.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
you. Thank you. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, Shivaya. Shivaya, Shivaya, Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya.
Mm.
I do want to remind you that you can find this meditation that we just did all month long on the website, thetempleoftheinnerself.org. And if you want to revisit the webs or other meditations, you can go to the YouTube channel, All One Piece. And that's PEACE with no spaces, ALLONE PEACE. And that is where you'll find all the meditations and the satsangs that we have started to record. So if you want to revisit that. So I like to look at the meditations every once in a while and go, oh, this is the one I need right now, and choose them that way. So, but I just want to remind you that that's there. And so I think that's it. We are loving each other.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to end the recording, and I might have to put on my glasses to do that. Let's see what I'm doing. There we go. Stop the recording. All right.